and they had members with incomes ranging from one extreme to the other. Myself and Shekhar Chowdhury of IIM Lucknow were at one end, Ratan Tata was at the other end. So we had this whole spectrum of people in the committee. We did submit a report, and I'll share some ideas from that report, broad ideas from that report. And thirdly, I'd like to talk a little bit about innovation, as I see it. First is the role of the university. There's a paradigm called the triple helix paradigm. Many of you may be familiar with it. It's all over there in Google. The word triple helix, of course, is borrowed simply because it's fashionable. It has nothing to do with the triple helix of the fame across the road. In case you don't know, the triple helix structure was discovered by G.N. Ramchandran. He actually wrote a paper that was rejected by Crick. And later, Crick adopted the technique Ramchandran suggested after having rejected Ramchandran's paper. Because Ramchandran's paper was subsequently published. But in any case, coming back to the triple helix paradigm simply says this. It says three things you must know about the university. First is university and its environment. First is that innovation is not a scientific pull or social push process. Society can't push you into innovation, nor can science pull you into innovation. It's a non-linear process which happens by an integration of several complex processes. Secondly, it says competitiveness does not come from national effort, but actually from small concentrations of companies that work together. Most of the innovations have been in small companies, and then big companies buy them out. And then there are accusations that the company's share rating was very higher than it should have been, and so on. But the clever entrepreneurs develop this innovative idea in a small company, quickly sell it to a big company before it's implemented, and make their money and quit and find another innovation. This is a model that seems to work particularly in the Silicon Valley, especially in the IT industry. And the third says universities should be direct contributors to the wealth of the nation. I don't agree with that, with the third leg, because I think there is a place for the university and there is a place for its contribution to the economy, which is why in IIT Madras they put the research part across the road. When I first approached the Tamil Nadu government, they said, the chief secretary then, a very intelligent person, he said, Anand, you have 630 acres and you want 10 acres from me. 10 acres now have gone up in price. Price around this place, in case you want to know, that was yesterday's price. Some 65 crores per acre or something. It may have gone up today. The land prices really go up very fast. But you're talking of something like 700 crores worth of land that's being given by the government of Tamil Nadu for a venture. He said, why are you asking me for that? I said, I have a pure academic land here. I'm willing to do commerce across the road, not here. I mean it, because what happens when you import the industry or the commercial practices into the university, two things happen. One is there is a certain urgency about money making that always takes away the urgency from all other activities. And research is the least urgent of activities. While if you get obsessed with it, you do nothing else. But if you don't get obsessed with it, it can always be postponed. You're not going to crack the problem in 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 months. So you say, okay, what does it matter? Postpone it by a day. Whereas the industry people think time is money, and they're going to ask you to deliver yesterday. So you invariably end up doing that. Even in consultancy, that's the problem. We are supposed to spend 1 day in the week, right, maximum. And that's not exactly the time that faculty spend. When they start taking consultancy, sometimes they just have to deliver, and they end up spending much more. We don't micromanage these things. But basically, the problem is that the university second problem is that the university's values are different from the values in the marketplace. They have to be. In fact, I would rather not have IPR on campus. I would rather sell the intellectual property as soon as I get it for the benefit of the academic community, rather than hang on to it. Because what it does is, again, it shifts the emphasis from, if you like, Saraswati to Lakshmi. What we have here is essentially you're saying choose between the two, have Saraswati. If you choose Saraswati or Lakshmi, and our scriptures tell you can't have both anyway. But that's why I think the universities cannot be direct contributors to wealth, but they can be contributors to wealth through a research park. And ideally, the research park should be located outside. The chief secretary took only 5 minutes. He said, He bought the argument immediately and gave me the sanction for the land. But he said this is a piece of paper for the land to actually come to you to take 4 years. It took actually 4 years and 9 months. There was also a shift in the government. But in any case, we finally got the land and the research park is going to be launched. We're just hoping the Prime Minister will turn up here to do the launch. Therefore, we're eagerly awaiting that. We don't mind a little delay, but we are hoping he'll come. Because when the Manufacturing Competence Committee report was submitted, and that report has a component on research parks. And the reason we wanted a research park, I must tell you again, is I did some statistics, some collection of statistics in this is 90s, all of the decade. And we did some statistics about Silicon Valley startups and Silicon Valley wealth generation. 70% of IPR generated in Silicon Valley had an Indian name associated with it. And 70% of that had an IITian name associated with it. They were not the only names, there were several names, one of them was an IITian. So I told the government that, I quoted Louis Pasteur out of context. He said in experimental work, and I didn't say that, like Aswatthama, so don't say that first. You say the rest. I told them, discovery is the result of chance meeting a prepared mind. And I said, I've been preparing minds for 50 years, chance is meeting them in Silicon Valley. So I said, why don't we create the opportunity for chance to meet them here? That's the real fact. So we need a research park where industry, people from industry who know the marketplace and they know the value of ideas in the marketplace. We have professors who know the subject very well, and students whose strength, who are not insulted, is their ignorance. Because then they can shoot their mouths off without being afraid of being criticized of not knowing the subject. And one of those ideas that they shoot off, they may shoot off 50 ideas, 48 won't work. But if 2 work, you have a grand success. In fact, the Ganesh is pointing out 2% success in all entrepreneurial schemes. So that's really what you're looking at. And this will give you a breakthrough. And also what it does is we all have this 100 monkey syndrome. If 100 monkeys do it, all monkeys do it. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying if a large number of people do it, then everybody does it. So you need a few people who are successful, then the whole thing catches fire. So that's what we are hoping with the research part. That's about the paradigm.